Welcome back. You're watching Newslink, and road users are paying more for fuel than ever before. This week, you'll remember that horrifying incident. The petrol price increased by between R2.33 and R2.43 a litre, while diesel spiked by over R1. This could have been worse if government did not extend the fuel levy reduction. The relief is set to fall away, though, in August. With food, electricity, interest rates and fuel all going up, consumers could find themselves under a mountain of debt. Let's discuss this with Debt Rescue's Annaline fund Poel. Thank you very much for joining us this morning, Annaline. I mean, you've just heard the bleak picture I've just painted there for the South African consumer. But just given all of the increases that we have seen, have you found that more people are using debt for everyday necessities?
Absolutely. Good morning. Thank you for having me. Definitely, we are seeing more and more of that. And I think this is just being substantiated by feedback we're getting from the likes of the FNB report very recently, which is telling us people are not making it many days past payday. There's more month than there is money. And that most of the time consumers just have no alternative than to have to turn to debt to make it to the end of the month, to put food on the table at the end of the day.
And of course, what's worrying there is that a lot of them are in many instances unable to repay that unsecured debt that they would have gotten to make ends meet.
Well, yes. And the thing is consumers' budgets are so tight and so stretched at the moment that many of them, and we've seen this from the research that we've done, they've cut where they could. They've made lifestyle adjustments, they've made expense adjustments, and they're just not making it through. And when you have items like the fuel price seeing a month-on-month record high, a year-on-year increase of 40%, we've got electricity increases. We've had the interest rate go up by 0.5%. Our inflation is sitting at the upper borders of what the Reserve Bank would like it to be. And from everything we're hearing and looking at the figures out there, we're going to surpass that higher end very, very soon, which means probably more interest rate hikes. Consumers just don't have anywhere else to change and make cuts anymore.
Are there any ways in which they could maneuver? So some tips or any resources that consumers could look into to perhaps give them some kind of reprieve?
Well, I think the most important thing is for consumers to understand what their true financial circumstances are. And it's through that horrible thing that most of us hate doing, but it's a budget. We need to understand, if I look at a monthly basis at my budget, what does my budget look like in terms of the things that I do have some degree of control over still, which is my expenses? Take a couple of months worth of bank statements, look at where you are swiping your card or drawing money and how it's being applied. And if there are opportunities maybe to review a couple of agreements you might have, see if you can reduce them, maybe cut down on one or two of your spending habits. Change the way we do shopping. It's really important that now more than ever, when we go shopping, that we plan it. It really has to be a planned trip. I need to know exactly what I need. I need to shop around before I go and understand which shops, for example, have got discounts and specials on. Not travel unnecessarily to stores across different parts of town to try and save money, in that way, but end up losing my savings in transport. There's a lot more we can do, but it's going to take a lot of effort from our side, where in the past we might just pop into the shop. It now needs to be a well-planned exercise.
No, you are absolutely correct. And when you speak about budgeting, Annaline, it makes me think about the level of financial education that currently exists in South Africa. Unfortunately, it's lacking, and that's probably contributing to the mismanagement of our incomes and our disposable funding that we would have after all our debts are paid for the month. I mean, how do we change that scenario, in that more needs to be done in terms of teaching consumers, perhaps even from a young age, about managing finances?
Absolutely. As a mom, I know that they touch on this as part of the syllabus, but I do believe there's a lot of opportunity to start this from very young. And obviously, us as parents, we can definitely include our children as part of our household budgeting methodologies. They don't need to know the detail, but they can at least understand when mom opens the community papers to look at what the specials are, to understand why is mom doing this and what is the big picture, that they can take that through into their own lives. But when it comes to budgeting, yes, there's a lot of opportunity like I say, it's one of those things that it takes some discipline for us to do, but it's actually not very difficult. And, you can do this in any way, from writing it on a piece of paper to putting it on a spreadsheet to finding an app. There's even apps these days that help you with it. Some of the banks even now have integrated this into their banking apps. But it will take a little bit of effort at the beginning from us. It takes discipline from us to get into this habit. But once we master it, it becomes second nature, where you don't just pick something off of the shelf, but you actually check the couple of other products and you double check before you leave home. Do you really need this? Can you do without it? Is it something that's going to add value to your household content? And creative shopping, and creative cooking. I mean, we all have to then start looking at making the ingredients in our cupboards go further, with lower cost items potentially. There's a lot of opportunities. There definitely are.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Debt Rescue's Annaline van der Poel joining us to talk about some of the tips that you can maybe implement into your life as you deal with the higher cost of living. We'll be back with my new segment after the break. That's Entrepreneurship, My Journey.